What's up? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this beautifully honest reaction.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind, when we rewind, feels so nice.
Hey guys, so we got a little bit more to add to this Shannon Sharpe saga, and I was right. I told you guys when I initially talked about this that I felt like he was full of BS, and he came out talking about the attorney and how this was a shakedown. Tony Busby, he came after Jay-Z. He chases and goes after successful black men, and this is just all a setup and all of this type of stuff, right? And just made it seem like this was a surprise. But I told you guys I was pretty sure, of course, not 100% because I'm not a part of the case and I don't know any of these people personally, but just based on my experience, I was a legal assistant for 12 years before in the civil litigation field and more so on the plaintiff side. And I know how it goes. So I was quite sure that he had been reached out to, not knowing whether it was a mediation or not, but just the fact that there was at least a demand letter and a letter of intent of a possible lawsuit unless they could come to some agreement outside of having to file the lawsuit, right? So, yeah, I'm going to share my screen with you guys because I pretty much knew that this was the case. And yeah, I was right. So we're going to go here and let's see here. Good old Shanny Shan. Shay Shay. According to TMZ, Lanny J. Davis, Sharp's attorney, revealed that the star actually offered his accuser at least $10 million before she went public with her case. Apparently, the two went to mediation within the last month, and the proposal was made. Shannon's attorney says they were surprised that Jane Doe walked away from the offer and decided to file the lawsuit, quote, without warning. Well, dude, you knew that this was the next step because did you really think that they were just walking away and saying, oh, well, guess we couldn't come to an agreement. I'm just going to move on with my life. Ridiculous. I don't know if they thought that there was going to be another settlement attempt or another attempt at mediation, but that's not the way it works. They're not going to keep having mediation unless a court ordered someone to go back to mediation. It is quite rare that that is going to happen. So they knew this was the next step. Davis claims that Jane Doe seemed to be considering the offers initially. Yeah, they probably were considering it, but she didn't accept it. So that's why this statement that he came out and made was bullshit.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown.
It was a shakedown. If it was a shakedown and, in other words, extortion, then you don't settle with extortionists, especially just, okay, let me give you $10 million to just get you off my back. Because shakedowns and extortion is actually a crime. So why didn't you take it up with the criminal division versus trying to settle with them? And yeah, some people may say, well, $10 million is nothing to him. So he just wanted to just move on with his life because he knew it could just be more of a headache to have to even deal with that, knowing that they did have some sort of consensual situation at some point. But that's why I call BS on him coming out saying that Tony Busby is just a man that targets black men. I'm not here to root for Tony Busby. I'm not saying that he isn't even someone that has some bias against black men. But let's be clear, we're living in the United States of America, so that is quite possible. I'm not here to put the race radar on every single individual to say, oh, this person, they're all in the clear. This person, maybe about 30%. This person, oh, off the charts, over 50%. I don't have time for it. It happens. But that does not mean that he was targeting Shannon Sharpe because he is a successful black man. You cannot compare apples to oranges, okay? And the situation with that Jay-Z lawsuit and all the other stuff, Tony Busby is the attorney. He was not the plaintiff suing Jay-Z himself, okay? The plaintiff was less than stellar and she dropped the lawsuit and whatever, and Jay-Z and Tony Busby, whatever. But Shannon Sharpe trying to put himself in that same department, I don't think is even fair to Jay-Z. And I am not even a fan of his when it comes to a lot of things. But for me over here, I'm just trying to be on the side of right as much as possible. I don't know everything. Most people don't. But I see what I see and I know what I do know. And I definitely do have a high sense of discerning of spirits. And I feel that his spirit is not right. And for someone like him who screws chicks like this, OnlyFans model, 22 years old, like, look at him. And so when I look at this, and I'm just going to make this real brief, guys. Yes, this is 2025. There are freedoms that exist that our ancestors and people before us did not have. But back in the day, somebody like him, if they even looked at somebody like her, one of theirs, he would get lynched. And I just feel that sometimes just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something or do somebody. Let's put it like that. So just because you have the freedom to put your dick in somebody like this, who, let's be clear, even though she is of another ethnicity, could be his daughter, I feel like it's disgusting. He's knocking on 60 and he's screwing chicks in their early 20s. Barely legal, literally. Just because you can do something or do somebody doesn't mean you should. So it's wild to me that somebody who put in all of this time and effort over the years into his career, whether it was sports or sports casting and now podcasting, all of the discipline and hard work that he put into that, you don't have no discipline over your dick. And now this is the type of space that you're in right now. I don't have any sympathy for him. He has nobody to blame but himself. He did this to himself. This is not a shakedown. This is not Tony Busby coming after him because he's a successful black man. No, you're a successful black man that did some stupid, dumb things. And now this woman is probably going to get a huge win. And these are the types of things that I don't talk about this type of stuff over here, guys. I try my best to steer clear of some topics, but what's real is real and what isn't isn't. And this is one of the reasons why. Even though you have the right to choose whoever you want to be with for now, because 45/47, he might work to get some of those things turned back. But I'm just saying, I digress. He is a man of a certain age. And so if you can't have discipline over your dick and you're screwing chicks like this, and you can't get to the place where you could just be in, I'm not saying you have to get married and settle down, because if you're a whore, you really shouldn't get married. But at least be with people that are closer in age to you, and maybe some that just, maybe their melanin isn't as melanated as yours, but maybe they have some melanin. Like, my God, Why? But see, somebody like him, who I believe does have some self hatred, because people say he looks like Miss Netta, and I do believe that he does look like Miss Netta a little bit. They have some self hatred within themselves. So, but at least somebody that has some melanin, and now you're in this predicament where this woman is about to make big bank, and just getting to the gist of what I was going to be saying with this before I went off on a tangent, guys, forgive me, but it's a real thing when they talk about the men who are successful in their careers, very well off financially, and then they get with people who are not in the same ethnicity. A lot of times those relationships don't work out. Not all of them, but a, a number of them don't work out when it comes to the men. And then a lot of the wealth that they have worked hard for and accumulated, they take it in the divorces. But it's not just in relationships and marriages. A lot of times it's in these dumb situations like he got himself into, because you don't have any discipline over your dingaling. And now this chick is slated to get some tens of millions of dollars in a settlement off of you. And this may not be the only one, because there could be more people coming out. So I don't know, guys. Again, like I said, I don't have any sympathy for him, none over here. I'm not wishing anything on him, but these are just the consequences of his actions. And I heard a little snippet of some audio, guys. If you are not on Tasha K Live on her app, I suggest you get yourself a subscription and go over there, because I heard some audio of this dude speaking to somebody, and I'm telling you, even with all of this stuff coming out, I still don't believe Shannon Sharpe is straight. I don't. I've talked about that in the past, and I still stand on that. You don't have to be straight to have sex with women. So I'll just let that stand where it is. But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for being here, liking, and subbing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.